Welcome back, a conversation I consider one of the greatest honors of my career. Recorded live at Harvard in collaboration with The Shift, this is my interview with living legend, Dr. Sylvia Earle, an oceanographer, explorer, and one of the most important voices on the planet. For more than 6 decades, she has had one unwavering mission: protect the ocean. And in doing so, she has shown the world what one person, guided by curiosity, courage, and deep love, can do for an entire planet. She turns 91 this summer. Welcome to one of my favorite conversations on Steward.
She made history in 1990 as the first woman to be the chief scientist of the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. She led the first all-female team to explore the deep ocean. She was the first solo walk on the deep floor ocean, over 1,250 feet in depth, and she has fundamentally changed the way of how we understand the sea. The Library of Congress has named her a living legend.
Better alive.
She turns 91 this summer, and from personal experience, she is still the first to jump into the ocean. Welcome, Her Deepness, Dr. Sylvia Earle.
So what do you want to know?
I want to know everything.
About everything?
Well, how about, you once told me this anecdote that I found so fascinating. You were saying, we are obsessed with outer space. We have better maps of the surface of Mars and the surface of the moon than we have of our Earth. And you explained why. Can you share with the audience why you think we are more curious about what's up there rather than what's down there?
I had lunch once upon a time with Claire Booth Luce, who was a playwright, a senator, worldly kind of woman. And we were talking about why there was so much attention given to exploring the skies above and so little in the ocean below. And she said, well, it's really simple, I think. Heaven is up this way, and you know what's down there. So it's just that perception, at least in current times. If you asked people 10,000 years ago or 500 years ago, I don't know whether the answer would be the same. Humans have been around for more or less 300,000 years, but we tend to think of history as if it started when we started. That what we experience in our lifetime is kind of the way it's always been. That's not true, of course, but it's a certain bias that we have. Just saying.
It is certainly a bias, and who's to say what's down there is not our heavens as well? I think a lot of people, we flinch at the unknown, yet you swim towards it, literally. What is it about the unknown that fascinates you, whereas humanity fear-mongers the unknown?
Kids start out curious. They want to know everything. They start out as what the scientist grows up to be. A kid who's never quite grown up, always asking questions, always curious, always wanting to know. And I don't know what it is that inhibits that curiosity for many. Maybe it's because as soon as kids start walking and talking, everybody celebrates, but then they say, sit down and be quiet and stay in this box. But getting outside the box is really more fun.
What has the deep ocean taught you about using fear as a compass rather than a limitation?
I just don't think of it as fear. It's just you want to know and keep asking questions. And whether it's in the skies above or looking through a microscope, there's so much that we don't know. Biggest discovery, as far as I'm concerned, about the ocean and about ourselves, about everything. It's the magnitude of our ignorance. We do not account for what we don't know. We act as if we've got all the answers. We need to account for the magnitude of what's there yet to be discovered.
So we need to shift from the magnitude of our ignorance into the magnitude of our curiosity.
Yes. Good way to put it.
What questions are you still asking after 60 years dedicated to this ecosystem?
About everything. I mean, it's just such a hard question to answer because everywhere you look, there's something to question. Even in the last half century, given the technology that now exists that did not and could not exist until right about now. Two things. We've learned more than ever before. At the same time, using technology that did not and could not exist until the last few decades, we have converted more land and sea of the planet, the natural living systems that make Earth habitable. We've converted them to human purposes and made Earth less habitable. As a consequence, we didn't know we could do that. We've just blindly clear-cut forests. We have blindly extracted ocean wildlife, thinking that this is a great thing for us to be able to do because there's a market for trees. And we have laws that favor giving billions of dollars of subsidies to extract wildlife from the sea. We've had nothing to do with the fact that they're there, but we have had everything to do with their precipitous decline, not really understanding that we are really at a dangerous point of losing the fabric of life that makes our existence possible. Sharks. From when I was a kid and was told, watch out, there are man-eaters out there. So every time I dived into the water, I kept on the lookout. And if I saw a shark, I felt this little tinge of concern until I learned that they are really not interested in dining on humans. But humans have come to be really interested in dining on them. So since the 1950s, especially since the 1980s, the decline of sharks has been phenomenal. Some say it's only 80% gone. Now I'm afraid when I go in the ocean and I don't see sharks, because the ocean needs those crazy creatures that mean us no harm.
Sharks are keystone species, and I think we just realized that. That's recent research. If sharks disappear, our entire ecosystem collapses, so that's important to understand.
Well, it doesn't mean there would be a complete and utter, but it would be you're pulling out of the system, first of all, carbon, and in so doing, a part of the cycles of life, the chemistry. It's an eat and be eaten world on the land and in the sea. It's the cycle of, it's the chemistry of the planet. This is a living planet. All of the elements, we have the elements of the universe in us, and so do all, other creatures.
Well, I wanted to mention how one of my most memorable panels with you was at the United Nations on World Oceans Day, and you called out a billionaire on our panel.
Yes.
And can you just help us understand how can we collectively remember that there is no wealth, no economy, no future on a dead planet?
That's very straightforward, and every little kid, as soon as they start asking questions, they should know that. Respect the natural living systems that make possible, first of all, our existence. When you think about where does wealth come from? All wealth originates from nature.
Nature is the bank.
I gave a talk at the World Bank in Washington, D.C., and once upon a time, I put an image of Earth, and I said, there it is, the World Bank. And we've been drawing down the assets ever since. And we're perilously close to disrupting those systems that make our existence possible. Looking at planetary boundaries, what is it that keeps Earth safe for us? Earth has not always been within the range of temperature, of oxygen in the atmosphere, the salinity and the acidity of the ocean. Earth is a dynamic system, but we live in the tail end of the Holocene era that began about 11,000 years ago, when a lot of these ups and downs kind of settled within a favorable space. And then we began to prosper as these boundaries stayed more or less in a stable. I mean, there are ups and downs, there are always. But think about, when did we start writing things down? When were there first libraries, let alone computers? When did we learn about the concept of zero in terms of calculating numbers? Not very long ago. And yet our history with people just like us, thriving, who existed not knowing what is now known. And here we are, moving into, I think, the most exciting time in all of our history, armed with knowledge. And
Can we just...
not the last best, it's not our last chance, it's probably our best chance.
Well, I just want to say, after you said all of this, and then you're like, it's the most exciting time of our history. So, like, everyone was like, it's the most what time of our history? So, please, deep dive that. Why is it the most exciting time of our history after everything you've just said about our planetary boundaries?
Imagine if we didn't know. We just keep doing the same things that have gotten us to this perilous place. But we can see what's happening through burning fossil fuels, excess carbon dioxide. Just look at the numbers, how Earth is warming. I mean, just check it out. How can we check it out? Because there are individuals who have taken the technology that can, like a knife, it can cut both ways. It can be a useful tool or it can be a destructive tool. And those who are taking knowledge and trying to figure out what keeps us safe in a universe that we know for sure is not suitable for the likes of us. The Earth is a miracle in itself, and that we exist is a miracle, but we could be just a temporary little blip in the history of life on Earth, or not. The wonderful thing is,
It's our choice.
we have a choice. Elephants don't. We do have a choice, not just for ourselves, but it's carrying the whole living universe of life along with us, and we need them. We need them to be secure, doing what they do to keep Earth within safe operating space. We can't do that. We cannot make the atmosphere filled with just the right amount of oxygen and nitrogen and just enough carbon dioxide, but not too much, to power photosynthesis that generates food, generates oxygen, captures carbon. We're so lucky to even know what air is. It wasn't that long ago that nobody knew. It was just there. We can measure how high in the sky oxygen goes. We can be up there on a satellite and see so much that nobody could see before, or go down into the ocean and begin to understand how that living system shapes everything else.
Thank you, Dr. Earle, for saying that this is the most exciting time. I think the information you just shared can be quite overwhelming for a lot of us, but you're saying it could be the most empowering.
Yes.
And look at everything we now know that we didn't just a handful of years ago.
Could not know.
Right before we sat down, Dr. Earle whispered in my ear, you know how much of a miracle it is that we're both here right now? Like, imagine if we had that joy de vivre in everything that we approached in life. So, Doctor, I wanted to ask you, because I've come with you into one of your hope spots in the ocean. It was in Shinnecock Bay in Long Island. And it was cold, it was early in the morning, and no one wanted to get in that water, and you just jumped straight in. How do you maintain this joy de vivre? How is it so contagious? How do you not get jaded by this information?
Why would I? It just gets better. I mean, there never has been a better time in all of human history to think about how can we behave ourselves in such a way that we can make peace with nature, instead of converting nature in whimsical ways to create what we think of as wealth. Now we have what is referred to as artificial intelligence, well, whatever it is, computing power that gives us another tool, another edge to go beyond those calculations more quickly, to look for patterns, to look for potential pathways armed with what we now know, but also armed with what we don't know, and knowing that computers are only as good as the information they're given. And we can mislead ourselves tremendously if we don't take the magnitude of what we don't know into account. Just because you get a number on a page doesn't mean that it's the right number. It's a number.
Spoken like a true scientist. Dr. Earle, my last question for you is that you turned 91 this summer, in August. I'm also an August birthday, so.
Oh, right.
Yes. And you've done things that, most people cannot even imagine in their lifetimes. Is there anything else you still want to experience, you still want to feel, you still want to see?
Just everything.
Everything?
Well, if you consider that every time, even scuba diving, and I'm pretty sure somebody in this room is a, hooked scuba diver. Probably a lot of you.
Any hooked scuba divers out there? Oh yeah, there you go.
Probably all of you, even as kids, confidently stepped into an automobile, went faster than any humans have ever gone before. You've gotten on an airplane, not giving much thought to your safety. You're going to get to the other side if you can get through security. I don't know how many of you have ever been in a submersible. I wish I could take you there. Once you've seen not just what's up here in the sunlit part of the ocean, but to realize most of life on Earth lives below where sunlight shines. And that's at a depth of 100 to 1,000 meters, and it's filled with life. We did not know that, did not have proof that life exists all the way down. There were many theories about how deep life in the ocean could exist. We didn't know there were sharks, Greenland sharks, fellow vertebrates. They can live for 4 centuries. Would we not like to know their secrets? I think it would be kind of cool. But imagine to extend our existence, taking advantage of what you learn over the decades and putting it to use.
That's true longevity. We need ocean intelligence.
They're sponges that have been around since the beginning of the Holocene, 11,000 years. The manganese nodules, you referred to the United Nations discussion, where the billionaire Ray Dalio,
I wasn't going to name names, but...
he would say it probably today, but he said it in public, so it's on the public record, that we were talking about mining the deep sea for things that we think could be valuable, turning nature into wealth. But maybe the wealth that is kept in the deep sea is worth more. What's a tree really worth? Board feet of lumber, we can measure. But a living tree, what's the benefit to us? What is a living tuna? These miracles that take, almost 10 years. Bluefin takes about 10 years to mature before they can start having little bluefins. We have managed to take their numbers down from where they were in the 1970s. Atlantic bluefins, about 10%, because we're really trying not to kill them all. But we still kill them. But as the numbers go down, the price goes up. This is not exactly feeding people for needs. It's a matter of giving people choices. That's why this is the moment in time. And everybody, especially little kids, should be excited and feel how lucky they are to know what is known, and we still have a chance to change this.
It's still a choice.
Trajectory.
Yes.
Absolutely a choice.
This is the most exciting time to be alive. Let's continue to remember that, and remember how much of a gift it is to be here, that nature is our bank and our vault. Everyone, please, a huge round of applause for Dr. Sylvia Earle.
People ask me, so all these problems, what should I do? What can I do? And I say, I can't tell you, because I don't know you. You know you. Look in the mirror and ask yourself, what have I got? What have you got? I can't do what any of you do because I'm not you. But you have something going for you because every person is unique. Every cat, every dog, every squid, every shrimp, we're all individuals. But 21st century humans, we have power of choice. We have to protect nature, as much of the wild as still remains. We have to rethink, how do we feed ourselves? How do we live with a light touch? How do we give back? Protect nature as if your life depends on it. We all can do something in your backyard or in your state or your country, but why stop there?
We all have the power of choice. There's no way we could fit 60 years of depth and research and 90 years of your lived experience into a fireside chat. I'm so sorry, Dr. Sylvia Earle. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Sylvia Earle.
Thank you for tuning in to Steward Podcast. If you found this conversation valuable, please share with friends and family who are also grappling with these complex questions. As Steward, we believe that understanding these challenges is the first step towards creating a more sustainable and joyful present and future. Take a moment to rate and review Steward Podcast wherever you listen, and you can also stay connected with us on Instagram at steward.media for more updates.